Okay, this is the last question in the passage, number 26. And just be aware that, I've said it before, but the questions within a passage tend to get more difficult. And generally you'll find the last question or the last, couple of questions, they will contain the outside knowledge. And they'll also contain, and it generally happens in the last question, a question that's kind of different from the rest. Most of the other ones will ask you to read the table or compare tables or whatever, but it's all within the test. The last question, if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen in the last question that'll ask you something that is not part of the test. And you have to kind of use the information in the test, or the experiment, to work out what's going on. And that's what happens here. So number 26. Suppose that an additional tube, tube 9, had been included in the experiment, and that tube 9 contained a small fish. A small fish. I'm going to get a pen. Give me a second. A small fish, right. But no Alodia. And remember, the Alodia, we know this from earlier, is the plant or a snail. And that's the one that had cellular respiration, was from the snail. And received light. I don't think that really matters because a small fish doesn't need light for anything, I don't think. But anywho, at the end of the 24-hour incubation, would the colour of the bromothymol blue solution in tube 9 more likely have been yellow or blue? So again, we're going back to what it's asked us all through this. The difference between photosynthesis, plant, and cellular respiration, animal, or fish, snail, human, whatever. So here we have a small fish. So it's going to have cellular respiration. It's going to produce CO2. The light doesn't matter because light is only important if we're talking about photosynthesis. And we're not, because a small fish, whether it has light or not, it's still going to breathe. It can breathe in the dark, it can breathe in the light, it doesn't matter. Whereas a plant, it can produce photosynthesis in the light, but it can't in the dark. So the light, they're just throwing that in there to throw you off. The fish is just going to produce CO2. So what we need to know is, would it be yellow or blue? So again, step by step, let's look at the first thing. Let's look at our answers to see our parameters, and then we can work out where we're going. So F is, it's going to be yellow because the fish would have undergone photosynthesis consuming CO2. All right, a fish has got nothing to do with photosynthesis. That's just plants. A fish has got nothing to do with it. So anything that has photosynthesis in it, and in these kind of, these questions where it has, yellow, yellow, blue, blue, two of the answer choices will have photosynthesis as an answer and two will have something else. So, and generally they skip one. So if F has it as an answer, every time H will, not every time, but we can, H has it. Sometimes they'll be together, sometimes they'll skip one, but we know there's going to be another one that has photosynthesis and it's gone. So again, we've got it down to 50-50. If you know nothing else and don't feel comfortable with this and you're running out of time, you've got it down to 50-50, you could guess. But if you have time and we want to find the right answer, then we're going to go on. Now we have to deal with the colour. We know it's cellular respiration and it's producing CO2. And now we have to just find out, CO2, does that make yellow or does that make blue, the blue solution? Does it turn yellow or blue? So, again, if you've done all of these questions in the passage and looked at all the videos, we read earlier on the whole passage and got some information there. And remember from there, it said that it's right here. We're going over to the red side. When CO2 dissolves, hang on, right here. When CO2 dissolves in an aqueous solution, remember the fish is producing CO2, right? It's not a plant, it's cellular respiration, it's producing CO2, and acid is formed, right? So an acid is formed, and we know an acid has a low or lower than 7 pH. So that's what the fish is doing. It's producing an acid. Because it's producing CO2, it's making the aqueous solution more acidic, and that means that's a low pH. So we know that the colours are in what table? Table 1. So we're going to go to table 1. We're going to want a low pH, because that's the acidic pH, and it is yellow. So we need yellow to be in the answer. And if we look at our answer choices between J and G and J, G has yellow. It's yellow, low pH, and because the fish would have undergone cellular respiration, yes. Produces CO2, yes. G.